Have you ever woken up from a terrifying dream, heart racing, and thought, "Oh, that was such a nightmare"? Today, we're digging into the word itself. Why do we call a scary dream a nightmare? It sounds a little strange when you think about it. What does a horse have to do with bad dreams? As it turns out, nothing. The real story behind the name is far darker, older, and a lot more interesting than a galloping creature. So, grab a cozy blanket, preferably one that won't turn into a demon at 3 a.m., and let's unravel the eerie history of the nightmare, right here on History of Simple Things. The word nightmare goes all the way back to old Germanic and English folklore, long before the idea of dreams was linked to the brain or psychology. Back then, people believed that nightmares didn't come from within you. They came from the outside. And the culprit wasn't a horse at all, but a supernatural creature called a mare. This mare was a malicious spirit or demon believed to sit on a sleeping person's chest, crushing them and filling their sleep with fear. People imagined it as a dark, shadowy figure, sneaking into homes at night to bring panic, paralysis, and terrible visions. That's where the second half of the word comes from, mare meaning evil spirit, not the female horse we think of today. So when someone in the Middle Ages said they had a nightmare, they literally meant a night demon sat on them. These beliefs weren't just random superstitions. They were attempts to explain something people had no scientific understanding of: sleep paralysis. Imagine waking up unable to move, feeling pressure on your chest, and sensing a dark figure looming over you. Today, we know this happens when the brain wakes up but the body is still in REM sleep. But to people in the past, it felt supernatural. Cultures around the world reported almost identical experiences, and many had their own versions of the mare. In Scandinavian folklore, there was the Mara, a spirit that caused bad dreams by riding people like they were horses. In Germanic folklore, the Nachtmar was a nightmare-bringing creature that climbed onto a sleeper's body. Even in Slavic cultures, similar beings were blamed for nighttime terrors. Over time, as languages evolved, the word morphed. Old English used mare, Middle English used mire, and eventually we ended up with the modern word nightmare, now stripped of its mythological teeth. As science progressed and people began to understand sleep more clearly, the meaning of the word shifted. The mare was no longer taken literally, but the word stuck around to describe frightening dreams. What's fascinating is that the emotional essence of the original idea remains. The ancient mare was believed to bring fear by sitting on your chest, and today, many nightmares still involve that feeling, being trapped, chased, unable to move, or overwhelmed. So even though the supernatural explanation faded, the emotional core never really disappeared. The word nightmare became a perfect metaphor for any experience that feels oppressive or terrifying, whether it happens while you're asleep or in real life, like a nightmare scenario or a nightmare commute. The word evolved, but its sense of dread stayed exactly the same. Language is constantly changing, and most old mythological terms eventually fade away, but nightmare stuck because it solved a very human need: a single word to describe that intense, unforgettable fear we feel during a bad dream. Other old names for nighttime spirits, like goblins, incubi, and hags, gradually lost relevance, but nightmare fit neatly into everyday speech. It was simple, vivid, and already tied to a universal human experience. The word didn't need the demon to survive. It only needed the feeling. And as people kept talking about their frightening dreams, nightmare became the perfect label, even for things that happen outside of sleep. That's why we still use it today. Not just for bad dreams, but for anything chaotic, stressful, or downright horrifying. Even if we don't literally believe a demon is sitting on our chest, many people still occasionally experience something that feels a lot like the old legends. Sleep paralysis, stress, unpredictable sleep schedules, and even certain foods can make nightmares more likely. And when they hit, they can be so vivid and emotional that they feel like an outside force is messing with us, just like people imagined centuries ago. In a strange way, our minds have kept the old folklore alive. We may not see the mare, but our brains still know how to create that same ancient feeling of panic. So while the word nightmare has modern scientific explanations, it still carries echoes of those old stories in every terrifying dream we have. Interestingly, the idea of a nightmare isn't unique to English folklore. Many cultures have their own versions of night spirits or dream oppressors. In Japan, there's the kanashibari, a phenomenon similar to sleep paralysis that was once thought to be caused by spirits. In some African traditions, bad dreams were attributed to mischievous ancestral spirits visiting at night. These cross-cultural parallels show that the feeling of being trapped or terrorized in sleep is universal, even if the stories and names differ. The English word nightmare just happens to be the version that's stuck in modern language. So the next time someone asks why a bad dream is called a nightmare, you can tell them it has absolutely nothing to do with horses and everything to do with an ancient belief in a night-visiting demon that oppressed sleepers. The word has traveled through centuries of folklore, superstition, language evolution, and psychology to become the term we use today. It's a perfect example of how a single word can carry layers of history, some spooky, some scientific, and all deeply human. And in a way, knowing the origin makes nightmares a little less mysterious and a whole lot more fascinating. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other bingeable channels. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.